What's up, guys? Welcome back. Fantasy Endgame here. We're here to mock draft. You know how it goes. These fill up fast, so if you've been waiting in line, get your trigger finger ready on that mouse button because we're going to release the link in a second. We already have some people in here because our patrons got first access here. So we have a couple of our guys. Got Roberto taking the 1 spot today. And then do I see Nate there taking the 12 spot? Very interesting. All right. He wants to reverse snipe me, I guess. I don't know what the deal is. And then I see Keith is at number 5. So there's some veterans here. Whoever does get to join, have some tough competition. But let's get it going, Chris. Are we ready to open the pen?
We are ready, and yeah, like you said, remember we're giving Patreons first dibs. So if you want to guarantee your spot, patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. But we have what? How many spots do we have left? 7. So we got like 7 spots. Better be quick. Here comes the link. 1, 2, 3, go.
There it is. We're almost full. All right. Yeah. So that's just one of the things. It's still very early in the preseason, but throughout this too long NFL offseason, of course, patrons will get access to extra content and a lot coming in the next few months. So check it out there. But we are ready to go, just like that.
We are full. We're ready. We're back to. I'm putting the chat because I know Austin had no idea what we were doing last time. I got it back to 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, full PPR. But here we go with Roberto on the clock.
All right, let's see it. I'm not even gonna mention 0 RB or 0 anything. It's like just draft who you want. We'll see how it goes. Now I'm picking at the end today. I don't know why lately I've been wanting to pick towards the end just to see how it shakes out because we kind of already know. I guess it's maybe too easy. Like you can pick the first 3 or 4 spots, like you know who's going to go there pretty much. And I'm curious to see what kind of values I can get at the end of the first round. Chris going Tyreek Hill, number 3. That's been pretty consistent for you if he's there. Over Cup.
Yeah, I mean, we have our video coming out Sunday. Our wide receiver video. I've got him. I guess spoiler alert. I've got him over Cup.
Not the only surprise. Really, kind of surprised me with a couple. Not like you have anybody crazy in there or anything. Like he didn't rank Jamar Chase at all. Like it's not like that. But there's a little bit of movement there. We definitely didn't have everything the same. That's for sure.
No, we didn't. I don't want to be. I mean, it's good to have like some controversial takes, but you can't just be like ridiculous and not rank Jamar Chase in the top 12.
No, we're not like hot take artists. That's definitely not a thing that we will ever do.
I don't know what wide receiver you're expecting to get at 11 there, but your wide receiver 1 is going to be, at this point, your wide receiver 1 is going to be like Deontay Johnson. Oh, now we got a couple running backs going.
And I was just because we were saying that I was about to say, well, usually you can get like Austin Eckler will fall. Well, no, not so much. I do think I know who I'm going to take first, and here we go. This is probably going to be pretty consistent for me because not a huge difference, I don't think, between the receivers left. And of course, I don't trust Nate to not snipe me, so I'm going to go with Kelsey here.
Yeah, Kelsey the pick there, definitely agree with that.
I figured you go AJ Brown. That's okay.
Why does the link? I don't know. I think didn't Stinger say that you have to have your sleeper app already open? Wasn't that the trick? Have your sleeper app already open?
It does help. Yeah, it does that to me sometimes too. If the app's open, it'll take you there. Sleeper is kind of weird like that sometimes. That works great when you're in it, but yeah, sometimes signing up it gets confused.
You know what else helps? Okay. Join the Patreon, and then in 90 minutes for the draft, you can casually pick your spot, stress-free.
Exactly. All right.
Rise above got in. Nice. Good to see you. Yeah, 7 seconds. It's 7 to 10 seconds about how long these things take to fill. So, yeah.
All right. I'm trying something different.
I mean, JT at the early second seems like a good value.
It's not bad. Chris loves hot takes. Not so much. We used to do back in the day before we even had the end game when we would do our old podcast. You remember? I think at the end of like every show, every week, we would do bold predictions. And then it was several weeks. He was really good sport about it. And then after a while, he's like, I really don't like doing bold predictions. I like that's like my least favorite thing. I was like, really? That's like the most fun.
I wonder going back how bold my predictions even were. Like, they were even bold. Were they even really bold, or were they just like somewhat kind of bold?
I think it kind of depended sometimes. Like if you're like, yeah, I'll do it, but I don't want it to be crazy. And then sometimes you're like, all right, fine. If I'm gonna do a bold prediction, and be like, just go nuts. So it's like all or nothing.
Sounds like me.
Yeah.
It'd be fun if we like to pull up some of those old.
Yeah,
I'm sure some of our old YouTube videos are still on Rotoballer, at least.
Oh, I know they are. They definitely are. Yeah, it would be fun for everyone else to watch. Maybe not fun for us.
Yeah. It'll at least show us how far we've come, hopefully. Hopefully we don't watch those and think they're better.
That's true. Always make you feel better. All right, let's see. We got Henry before Barkley. Don't hate that, but that's interesting. And then Devontae Smith keeps kind of creeping up earlier. Garrett Wilson still pretty early.
Yeah, I feel like we're at that point now where, I feel like we're at that point where the wide receiver, like, there's just too much good running back value right now to go wide receiver, I feel like.
Yeah, and honestly, not too far from what I guess now has become kind of like a wide receiver dead zone because it's like a bunch of guys that are like, yeah, they're fine, but like you don't love them and you feel like you should look somewhere else for value. It's like, do I really want to take, like Keenan Allen in the beginning of the third round? Like, not really, but and now the top running backs are going.
It's almost, it's like back in the day, one of the reasons why I think I've talked about this before that I used to always go, well, not always, but most of the time go zero RB is because in most drafts, you'd have like 8, 9, 10 running backs in the first round. And then in the second round, you'd still have people grabbing running backs. And it's like, well, am I going to take the running back 12 or am I going to take the wide receiver 3? And it just made sense to take the wide receiver 3. It's like so much more value. But in our end game drafts, it's like the opposite. It's like, am I going to take the wide receiver 15 or am I going to take the running back 6? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
like the opposite way. It's like the opposite pendulum in the end game drafts, in the end game mocks.
Oh, we're used to it. That's why you always got to know the crowd, right? You have to know your league mates to some extent.
Like it's just I don't know how. I know it's a three wide receiver league. But when you're looking at these wide receivers, I think I'm going running back. I just think there's too many good running backs still on the board.
That's the thing. Got to take the value where it is. And taking Bijan there, that's pretty good value.
Yeah, we don't usually see Bijan that low in these drafts. Etienne in the early third, we don't usually see that.
Brees. It's still messed up by the rankings. Still have to dig, and
they seemed okay last night.
Like right now, I still see like Zeke and Fournette like at the top, near the top of the running backs left. Like That's got to change.
Yeah, I don't.
We have a couple of strong running back starts here so far. 3 teams taking 2 running backs, including you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like in these drafts, I'm not gonna take Mike Williams over Bijan. I'm not gonna take Debo over Bijan. I'm not taking Olave over Bijan. I'm not taking Metcalf over Bijan. Like I'm just not taking those guys. Like if Bijan is still on the board, I'm not taking those wide receivers over him. I'm just not like.
No, you can't.
I really think next week when we do these drafts and Bijan absolutely just obliterates the combine, like just obliterates it.
Yeah.
No one, he will not fall past like the early second. He will just not.
He's a first rounder. Yeah, he's going to be a first rounder.
Yeah, people are just still like, he's a rookie. We don't know where he's not. It doesn't matter. He's just too good.
And somebody asked us a couple of weeks ago, like, who do you have as the number 1 dynasty running back? Like, is it him? And I was tweaking my rankings just last night, and I can't really find a strong argument against him. Like, I don't see why he wouldn't be. What landing spot could he possibly go to that would be so bad that you would say, no, I'm going to put someone else over him? All right, so here comes the quarterback run.
There isn't a landing spot because any landing spot, like, just say for some just throw out a terrible landing spot like the Giants with Saquon Barkley. That would obviously be a terrible landing spot. But a team like that is never going to draft Bijan. They're never going to draft Bijan. So there is no terrible landing spot. There is no terrible landing spot for him. Like wherever he goes, he's going to be head and shoulders the best running back there by far. And whoever drafts him, especially when they use a first round draft pick on him, they're going to give him the ball. Like you're not going to spend a first round draft pick on a running back and then say like, okay, watch this crusty veteran run for 3.5 yards per carry. Like, no.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, there is no bad landing spot for him, like you said.
No.
Maybe a team that just like needs a running back, but happens to have just a god awful offensive line, and maybe he just can't get it going because they can't block for him. Like maybe, but I don't know if that will happen because if they're that bad, they wouldn't be taking a running back that early either. They would be filling other holes.
Yeah, but even still, like he's so talented and what he can do in the passing game. Even if look, when Barkley got drafted to the Giants, they didn't have a very good O-line.
No, they did not. That's the thing with him is he's going to have that pass catching floor. So
yeah, he's going to be a monster. He's going to be a monster.
Okay, so let's see what I do. I probably shouldn't say.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Although it's a long time till your next pick, so.
Yeah, let me make my decision before I. No, actually, I'm not even gonna say because I could still technically kind of get my guy taken away. I don't love it. I guess I'm okay with it.
I think that's okay. I think that's DeAndre in the 4th. I think that's fine. Hopkins in the 4th. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, what wide receivers are you really putting over him that are on the board right now?
Well, that's the reason I took him because I might normally say Godwin if we knew who the quarterback was going to be, and I might consider Keenan Allen if I knew he was going to be a Charger.
Well, the GM did. I think it was the GM did come out and say the GM or the owner did come out and say we're not trading him. We're not getting rid of him. He's staying here. Famous last words, but they did say that. So
we'll see if that holds true.
See, massive value.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that compliment. Yeah, I think that's fine, especially since Watson was my number 1 receiver technically. Let's just switch those guys. What? Pollard just got taken. Rumors, some people having them possibly go Bijan or at least a different running back later. I don't know why. I mean, I guess, think we have Zeke as dust, but Zeke will technically still be there on the discount, and they have Pollard. I mean, is running back really the direction they want to go? Don't they need a second, third receiver first?
Yeah, I don't see them going running back, at least not early enough to take Bijan. I mean, maybe they take like a late day 2 running back or something because they could be eyeing like the future. Like, okay, if they franchise tag Pollard this year, and even if they restructure Zeke, there's no guarantee. Like Zeke may be complete dust after this year, and you franchise tag Pollard, but then what about next year? So I could see them taking maybe like a running back late day 2, early day 3, something like that. But they're not going to take like a Bijan. I mean, like, it's Jerry Jones. You never know. He likes his toys, but that makes no sense for the Cowboys. This is a team that's, not far off, right? That defense is good. The offensive line is improved. They need you're right. They need that second receiver who can stress the defense. So,
and I could see maybe if they do get Odell Beckham and they say, okay, that's our receiver, our guy at number 2, and then they use draft capital for running back. It won't be an early back. I don't see how. And they, like you said, the rumors are they're going to tag Pollard. If he's there, that's not a priority. I mean, not enough.
Yeah, that's insane value on Chubb, and I don't even like Chubb. That's better than I got him at like the 4 something. That's ridiculous value on Chubb there for sure. What's up, Bartermania?
Cheers. There you go. It's a Bang. We're not sponsored by Bang.
I know. How are we not sponsored by Bang yet? What is going on?
It is the fuel that drives the engine that is the fantasy endgame. Just woke up. What do you mean just woke up?
He didn't just wake up. He's at the number 9, 12, 11, 10, 9 spot. He's at the 9th spot.
All right, Roberto. It's a little mild of a start for you. I want to see a spicy pick.
Yeah, I haven't really seen any. I mean, maybe Mike Williams over Debo is spicy, but that's really about it.
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I would go Debo over Mike Williams, but I don't think it's like a massive difference or anything.
No, that's not it's not controversial or anything.
Definitely not controversial.
You cannot get enough DJ Moore this offseason.
Finally it'll be the year I'm going to draft him, and he'll probably be terrible again.
I mean, he looked pretty good with Sam Darnold at the end of the year. I mean,
didn't they say that they're trying to re-sign Darnold? Isn't that their plan? Isn't that what I read today?
I think they will. Why wouldn't they? I mean, not saying he's like the answer, but is this team like, a quarterback away? Like, no. I mean, they got, a lot of other problems to fix. So I think I could see them kind of just status quo for another year. New coach, just trying to figure out how things are going to work. Darnold to be kind of like the placekeeper.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. You never know how these quarterbacks are going to fall. I remember what was it, like 2 years ago, when everybody thought, the Falcons didn't Justin Fields fall to the Falcons And everybody's like, oh, they're going to take Justin Fields, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Or the Panthers. It was one of those teams, or maybe it was maybe it was the Panthers. It was one of those teams where like Justin Fields, and everybody's like, oh, they need a quarterback. They're going to take Justin Fields. I can't believe he fell. And then they did it, and then the Bears did.
Yeah. We think we know. We really don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Look, I think Stroud's the kind of quarterback who could come in and play right away.
Yeah.
Richardson, I know everyone's, the GMs, they love him. Everyone's drooling over him. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick now. Like, I'm not buying that. I'm sorry. I'm not. This is the guy who's going to get so much buzz. And I'm not saying Malik Willis 2.0, but come on, don't buy all that smoke that all of a sudden he's, the top quarterback in this class. He never was, and he's not going to be. He's the guy I could see, sit him a year.
Yeah.
Behind somebody, or a half a year. It doesn't have to be the whole year. It could be like a Ritter situation, right? Desmond Ritter, we knew he would take over at some point because Marcus Mariota has proven he's not, capable of starting over a whole season. And I think that's a perfect situation there. Play 500 ball or a little bit less with Darnold, and then the second half of the season, throw Richardson out there and see what he can do, and then groom him for next year.
You mean Mike Evans?
Starting Trask, that's not rebuilding. That's called tanking. That's blatant tanking, and that's frowned upon by the league.
Yeah, but I think if they do, I mean, I can honestly see him trading Evans and Godwin, honestly. Godwin even makes more sense to me because I think you could get more for Godwin. And they're paying him a lot of money. They just signed him for that extension. If you're tanking, if you're just going like full tank mode, I mean, remember, Godwin will be what, 27, 28 this year? How old is Godwin this year?
I think he's 27.
He's 27 right now. He was born. He turns 28 this month, so he'll be 28. I think he's under contract for 2 more years. They're paying him a lot of money. If you're in full tank mode, there's no guarantee by the time you're out of tank mode, Chris Godwin is still an elite wide receiver, or that he's even still under contract for you. I could see him trading both, honestly. The Godwin makes a lot of sense to me just because I think you get more back for him as far as teams looking at him like he's younger. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you meant Evans, not Williams. But yeah, I don't see the Bucs tanking. Period. Though to answer that, they're not a team. They're not like the Panthers. they don't need a lot of help. It's a team that really is not that far removed from a Super Bowl. Now I get Tom Brady's not there. Obviously that matters, but still, they have a lot of good other pieces in place. I mean, it is still a team sport. Good question.
Wait, what is this? What is it? This is not a baseball draft.
I'm gonna infuse some baseball in there. Yeah, that's too high. You don't need to take him near the 2.8. That's no one's taking him there. Next year he might be going that high if he wins a batting title, but no, that's too high.
Good catch. You're right. Okay, so he just turned 27, but I still think it makes a lot of sense to trade Godwin because they're paying him a lot of money. If they're gonna tank.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the big thing. Like, I don't know. The Bucs wide receivers are either going to be great values or great traps.
Well, I mean, you say underdrafted, like he's being overlooked, where he's been going in our mocks. Yeah, you're getting in round 6 or 7, but I think in most redraft leagues, by the time the season comes around, they have an adequate quarterback. I'm just going to say if they have like a Jimmy G type or somebody like that, somebody who's not exciting, but somebody who's not terrible. I think round 6 or 7, that's too late for him. I don't think he's going to go that late because of name value, and I think you won't get him at that value. In our drafts, he is, but I don't think that's where he's going to wind up.
Yeah, a lot is going to change.
Yeah.
Between now and the NFL draft, because we're going to start figuring out, we're going to start hearing who's franchised, free agency is going to hit. Lots going to change. I mean, even an underdog, I'm looking, he's going as wide receiver 34. I mean, it's probably worth the gamble. Although there are wide receivers going after him that I think I'd rather gamble on.
Yeah, that's what it always comes down to. When you're on the clock and if he's there staring at you in the face, and then you got to look, well, what are your other options? Like if I'm looking for next year at, Mike Evans or Drake London, right now I'm leaning Drake London. But again, the quarterback situation could change that for better or for worse.
I just can't believe how low everybody is on Aaron Jones. I thought I was like low on Aaron Jones. How is Aaron Jones going after James Conner, Miles Sanders, Rachaad White, Dameon Pierce? Like, how's Aaron Jones going after those guys?
It's funny because, I was tweaking also my best ball rankings last night, and I find myself being lower on Aaron Jones this year as I ever have been, because I was always a huge Aaron Jones fan.
Yeah.
But he's getting a little older. He's, they restructured. I think he took a little pay cut, right, to stay there. AJ Dillon came on later in the year, but also if that offense doesn't have Aaron Rodgers, is that offense going to be as good?
I mean,
there's just a lot of little things, right? Just like a little things that conspire to kind of put him a little bit lower. I wouldn't take him after James Conner, but I think that's kind of where I have him.
I mean, the offense was terrible last year. And yeah, I mean, look, I'm definitely lower on Aaron Jones than I've ever been on Aaron Jones for sure. But he still was extremely efficient last year. He still looked good. It's not like he looked like, Zeke or something where it's like, ooh, yeah, he's, the signs are there that he may not be as good anymore. He still looked really good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not on Aaron Jones necessarily. I'm not like trying to draft Aaron Jones like where I can. But I feel like when, again, like guys like that, like Connor, Sanders, Rachaad White, Dameon Pierce, like I would just rather have Aaron Jones over those guys personally.
Yeah, I think right now the guys that just got taken, I think the only ones that I would have taken Jones before is probably Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, and I think James Conner. Oh man. See, I've been going early quarterback, and in this draft, because I did go with Kelsey first, and I happened to take a second running back, I waited. I was like, okay, I'll wait, and I'll see if Trevor Lawrence falls. Well, Trevor Lawrence didn't fall.
Yeah, I think I waited too long.
This might be a late QB draft.
I mean, he got all the work last year, but I don't know if I feel confident that the Cardinals are just going to roll into this season letting James Conner get all the work again.
Well, they've got to get somebody, don't they? I mean, they need a number 2 guy because they don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely like Justin Fields. I am worried that I waited too long on QB again.
Yeah. Now, I kind of had a suspicion. I was like, if I don't take someone now, but I didn't want to wait again for a third receiver. But that's the thing. You realize when you have, Kelsey at tight end, that's basically like a number 1 receiver. But looking at the receivers that are left, it is actually kind of scary.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting to that point.
Yeah, that's my daughter. She's napping on the couch here. That is a great value.
Yes. Yeah, quarterback's not going as early in this draft. It's the thing, you never know. Sometimes they go super early and sometimes they don't.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Cardinals do take a running back at some point.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they draft a running back or if they sign a free agent who's actually good, not like what we saw last year. Because, okay, no running back, and I think NFL teams know this, no running back can handle 90 to 95% of the snaps over 17 games. And it's a totally new staff now, so I think it's a little much to just assume that Connor's going to get all the work there again. Also, I mean, are we going to see like the offense we saw down the stretch with, that's just terrible. It's a terrible offense that, because Kyler misses whatever, 10 weeks or however long it is. So
I have a very strong feeling the Cardinals are going to be terrible next year.
Yeah.
And I do think, switching coaches was a good and necessary move. I think overall they'll be better in the long run, but I think it's going to be a struggle in the meantime. So sure enough, five receivers in my queue all got taken right before me, which is one of the reasons I hate picking at the end, but I did it to myself.
I definitely think it's worth taking those guys. Right now, it's definitely worth taking those guys who could be on the move in free agency. But here's something I've noticed over the years. You'll see a guy sign somewhere in free agency and think, "Oh man, what a great spot for him. What a great spot for him." And then the draft comes and some running back is still on the board that team really likes, and they draft that running back, and now it's like, ooh, now it's not a great spot anymore because now he's competing with a really good rookie running back. So it's the NFL, man. You just don't know. Like, things change so fast. Yeah, you just don't know. I think you just got to try to like do your best to read the tea leaves and kind of think, whose role is probably safe and whose role isn't. I
don't know. I don't think that happens. It makes sense in terms of need to some extent, but the Cardinals have a lot of other issues, and running back, that's usually for a team that at least feels that they have a chance to do enough on offense to really compete. I mean, the Cardinals are going to be so far away at this point, and the questions about Kyler Murray, I don't know. Wasn't there some talk too? The new coach I'm trying to remember exactly what it is he said, talking about the kind of the plan as far as what they were going for. I think they'll probably go defense in the draft.
They should.
They should.
They need to.
Again, like running backs are sexier, and that's for us. Like, yeah, we want them to draft running backs. So to take a running back, they're looking at defensive linemen. Like, that's what their priority is. They're looking at the safeties. That's more important to their football team.
I do think sometimes fans and fantasy players do forget that NFL teams are actually trying to win football games.
Right.
They're not trying to like score fantasy points, trying to win football games. And they're looking at their team and saying, okay, we had one of the worst defenses last year. We need to shore up the defense. So, yeah, I know, like, people are like, why is this running back falling? Why aren't they? Why is this wide? Why aren't they taking a wide receiver? They need a wide receiver. It's like, yeah, but they need defense way more than wide receiver. Or they need offensive line way more than wide receiver or running back or whatever it is, because you can't win like with a terrible defense. You can't win with like no offensive line. Like you're gonna eventually play a good team, and it's gonna be it.
Exactly. And so, yeah, following up on that point, Nate, taking a swing into uncertain player, I think you always shoot for talent, the guy who you think has a chance to make that opportunity. One mistake I know I've probably made a little too often in the past is just looking at opportunity. Like, oh, this guy steps into this role. He'll do this, he'll do that. He's got to earn the touches. You know what I mean? Running back, just because you think a guy has a job, he could lose that job. He might not be as efficient. The offense could suck. I mean, there's a lot of variables. It's not just, oh, he's the starter. He's going to be worth drafting as a starter. So you got to go for talent more so. I mean, a guy like Garrett Wilson, he was competing with Elijah Moore. He was at quarterback, dealing with Mike White and Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson. He was so good, it didn't matter. He was still a stud for half the season. So, you know what I mean? You kind of have to not put too much into just opportunity. That's why a lot of us fell for the Allen Robinson thing last year. Just stepping into the Rams, right? The Super Bowl champs. It's like we forgot that he was cooked.
Yeah, I remember I made that mistake with Terrence West. Was that his name?
Oh, the Browns?
No, he was I think he played for the Ravens. He was a very, very, very bad real life running back.
I think he played for both, right? He was like a scrub on Ravens, and he went to the Browns, and then he had a big, or vice versa. I don't know.
Yeah, but I remember there was a year where he was their starting running back because they didn't do anything in free agency. They didn't draft a running back because they had other needs. They had more important needs. And I was drafting him late everywhere. I'm like, he's going to get all the touches. Oh, he's going to get all the touches in the backfield. He did for like 3 weeks, and then the team realized he's so bad he stopped getting all the touches because teams are trying to win. It's like we saw last year with James Robinson, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, Michael Carter. Like, sure, maybe the team has a plan thinking like we want to give James Robinson all this work and not give Etienne too much work. But eventually, when one guy is significantly better than the other, you have to just start giving that guy the ball more. It's like, if we're going to win, that guy needs the ball more than this other guy. So yeah, you do have to factor in talent because,
And as I say, talent creates opportunity. So
yes.
Yeah, and as usual, we were both right. He started out with Cleveland, and he was okay for a few weeks because Cleveland didn't have anybody else. And then he went to Baltimore, and he was a starter, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah,
yes,
dude, breakout star, sleeper."
Yeah. No, he was terrible. And I think after week 3, he was barely he wasn't even the lead running back anymore because he was so bad. It's like, yeah, I mean the opportunity was there, but he didn't take it. So.
And also after that, because to some extent we all got fooled after the Peyton Hillis thing, because he came out of nowhere and they had that monster season and made the cover of Madden, and we're like, just plug a running back into the Browns and random running back, and that'll go off. that got us for a while.
I remember Isaiah Crowell too for the Browns.
Isaiah Crowell. I mean, they did actually have a couple of running backs who did that, who just out of nowhere and did well, but then they had the ones who came out of nowhere and then stayed nowhere.
Another one, your Dolphins, Jay Ajayi. I remember that one year he had 3 or 4 games where he went over 200 yards. But,
yes.
in the rest of the games, he was just kind of mediocre. Nothing, he was okay, but he wasn't spectacular in the rest of the games. But everybody looked at those 4 200-yard games. He ended up having 1,500 yards on the season because half of them were in 4 games. And everybody's like, Jay Ajayi. And he was a second-round pick the next year. He was terrible. And did he get replaced by Kenyon Drake later in the season?
Oh, he sure did. He it wasn't even a full season later. Then they traded him to Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was they traded him away the very next season. But you can't get fooled by it's hard not to sometimes, but you got to try to not get fooled by those guys.
I just realized I'm on the clock. That was a total panic pick.
I think he's asking you, Akers or Dobbins.
I have Akers higher. I mean, that could change, of course. We don't know exactly what Baltimore's going to do. We know they have a different offensive coordinator, so it may not be as run heavy. It also depends, are they going to Lamar Jackson or not? So right now I'm going Akers, but it's pretty close. I think that's a pretty close call. Yeah, so had a couple of rookies queued up. I did not have anybody else queued up, so I just took the quarterback that I had waiting for. I could have taken 3 rounds later, but that's okay.
You never know.
Allen Robinson.
Keith doesn't have a QB, and Nate didn't have a QB, but Nate, is going Tua.
Yeah, you notice I took Watson instead of Tua.
Watson may trap me this year. He may be that guy where in leagues where I'm not able to get one of the higher end quarterbacks, he may be the guy I wait on because I feel like a lot of people are very low on him this year. Like I feel like he's a guy you can get in the later rounds.
Yes, he's going to be a good value.
Well,
we think so.
Or a trap. Yeah, he's going to be a good value or a trap.
Yeah, but at where he's going, it's not too risky because if he does wind up being a trap, you drop him after a couple weeks. He wouldn't cost you an early pick. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but if QB's anything like last year.
Yeah, that's the thing too. How many quarterbacks do you really feel good about outside the top 10? Kyler Murray, I'm not touching. Russell Wilson, no. Kirk Cousins is like safe but boring. Like he might be fine if you really just want to play it safe. Trey Lance, Aaron Rodgers. Again, we have more boring. Geno Smith, Derek Carr, Kenny Pickett. It's nothing to get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at this just by chance recently. So last year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 7 quarterbacks averaged 20 or more points per game in standard 4-point scoring. When you compare that to like other years, like in 2021, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then you still had guys that were like in the 19 range. So man, QB last year was so bad. And I wonder if, because we're seeing like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, these guys, Matt Stafford, like these older Russell Wilson, these older quarterbacks that used to be elite, maybe aren't elite anymore. And we haven't really had a lot of great young quarterbacks coming in the league. Maybe that changes with like Fields and Trevor Lawrence, and maybe one of Stroud or Bryce Young can make a leap, but it just feels like we're in this phase right now where there's a huge cliff after like the top 7 or 8 quarterbacks.
You know what I've considered, and I'm not doing yet right now because it's not necessary, but maybe mess around this year. And if you do go late on quarterback, take Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whoever you like best at rookie, one of those guys who could come in and just start from day one, or, week 3 or something like that. I mean, why not? If you have a guy who has some rushing upside, and that's why I like Stroud. I do like Stroud a little bit better than Young for that reason. I think he's just a little more of a savvy runner, if that makes sense. But I think I'd rather take a shot on a guy like Stroud or Young than take Daniel Jones or Kirk Cousins or one of these guys who'll get you like 15 points a game and that's it. Hey, I like the way you're thinking. I mean, you slap down $20. You're gonna get a good payout if it happens. It's not gonna hurt you in the long run. Yeah, maybe safe was a strong word to use for Derek Carr.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if he goes to a decent team with good receivers.
I mean, okay.
Although, I know you're going to say, like, he had Devontae Adams last year.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
I don't know.
It wasn't like he was in a bad situation last year, like with terrible talent around him, no talent around him, and like.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I thought Jets, even though I'm still thinking and willing like Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. And let me say it because as a Dolphins fan, I want Aaron Rodgers to go to the Jets so that they can continue to be mid. But Derek Carr, I thought Jets. Yeah, they got Garrett Wilson. They got Elijah Moore. That's probably a step up from what he had.
Well,
You know,
I'm not ready to put
year.
Garrett Wilson on the Devontae Adams tier yet.
last year in Green Bay without Devontae Adams.
Oh, you're talking about Aaron Rodgers?
I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Derek Carr.
No, now I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers. I'm saying Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
Yeah, that would
I think either Rodgers or Carr, no matter what you think of them, is an upgrade from what the Jets had last year. Either one.
No. Like, for sure. In real life, it's an upgrade, and it would be an upgrade for Garrett Wilson in fantasy and maybe Elijah Moore. But I don't think it's an upgrade for Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. I don't think they're going to suddenly put up significantly better numbers because they go to the Jets. Like, what do the Jets have that's so much better than what the Raiders had last? Like, we're going to say Elijah Moore is just so much better than any other pass catcher the Raiders had outside of Devontae Adams that it's a huge – and I like Elijah Moore, and he's better than Hunter Renfrow or Matt Collins for sure. But, I mean, it's not like he's going to, like, the 49ers where you have weapons all around you, like a huge difference in weapons, right? You got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got Kittle, and you got CMC out of the backfield. Like, I don't – like, to me, it's like, yeah, okay, it's but it's not like a huge difference.
Yeah, so, like, I'm at risk now of sounding like a Derek Carr apologist, which is not the road I want to go down. But I'm just thinking out loud here. What if having a more diverse set of weapons? Because you almost feel like he forced the ball, because you talked about it, right? Devontae Adams got a million targets. His catch rate was, 55% or something like that.
Yeah.
A ton of targets. Like, he was forcing the ball to him because he asked for him. He came over. Devontae's going to demand those targets. And, Renfrow was hurt half the year and wasn't that great when he was there. Matt Collins, I mean, come on. Matt Collins was like on the Dolphins practice squad the year before. Darren Waller was hurt. So maybe now he has multiple targets that he feels good about. Maybe he becomes more efficient. Maybe he was forcing the ball too much to Devontae Adams last year.
Or let me play devil's advocate, and maybe Derek Carr just is Derek Carr, who's one of these guys who every now and then can flash like, whoa, he's really good. But then the rest of the time is just, either okay or really bad. I mean, that's who he is. Like, I think we've seen Derek Carr enough to know who he is. It's like when people get excited, like Carson Wentz last year. Oh, the Commanders, he has a receiver he's never had a receiver like Terry McLaurin. He's got a great offensive line. Like, as if Carson Wentz isn't the problem. It's everything around Carson Wentz. Like, as if Derek Carr isn't the problem. It's everything around Derek Carr. Like, we've seen enough of Derek Carr that we know what he is. Yes, he can flash. He can have those games where you're like, what, that was amazing. He makes amazing throws. And then he has those games where it's like 3 horrible interceptions, and you're like, where did the guy from last week go? Like, who is this guy? This is who Derek Carr is, and it's who he's going to be. And I don't see the Jets situation being good enough around him to propel him to have more of those exceptional games and less of those bad games. I think he'll just still be Derek Carr. He'll just still be Derek Carr.
And here's the thing, talk about exceptional games. He'll definitely have fewer of those, because here's the thing with the Jets specifically is they actually have a good defense, like a pretty good defense. And if Breece Hall is there, they have a good running game too. So Derek Carr won't need to throw as much. He won't throw as much. So I actually think he could be more efficient in that offense, but a lot, less valuable than in fantasy, because he won't have those spike weeks. He'll have less bad weeks, and he'll have less good weeks. And that's exactly what you don't want in fantasy.
What about you could make that argument last year, but what about the previous 9 years?
The scheme that was just the scheme under Gruden, was it really that complicated?
I think you can give him a pass for last year, but what about the previous 9 or however many years he's been in the league? I don't even know.
Yeah, spoken like a true Jets fan. Got a Dynasty question. What could you get for Ridley in Dynasty right now?
I think you can get a decent amount for Ridley right now. People are very high on Ridley in Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody who's willing to give up. This is the wrong time maybe to be trading away Ridley because his situation is not going to change. But people right now are going to start really overvaluing their draft picks the closer it gets, and after the combine, forget it. So if you're looking for a draft picks, I think this is the wrong time. And I don't know that you would get a first round, or at least not an early first round for him anyways. So I would say if you're going to swap him out, do it for a guy who's maybe a younger receiver that you feel better about. Like, again, you're not going to get a Garrett Wilson, or an Olave most likely. But probably not a Jameson Williams either. I think most people are, unless they're in win now mode and they're like, I'll take Ridley. But yeah, I'd say you could probably get a good coming up, like maybe a Treylon Burks type.
Yeah, I'd probably want a little more.
Yeah, like Burks in like a third or second round pick, maybe.
Yeah, I think Burks in a second, something like that. One of these young receivers, or like Dotson in a second. One of these second-year receivers who flashed but didn't necessarily.
Dotson is a good one. Yeah, Dotson's a good one.
Who didn't? Yeah, but get a pick. I would want a pick with it, either like a late first or early to mid second, something like that. Because there is like somebody who has a late first probably is a win now team. Unless they traded for that pick, of course. But generally, somebody has a late first. It means they probably went deep in the playoffs. Maybe they won the championship. Maybe they made the finals. They might look at Ridley and say, like, hey, he's my missing piece.
Right.
Like, maybe Dotson breaks out this year. Maybe he doesn't. But I'm trying to win right now. You can get Ridley, and they're 111, 112, whatever it is. I would gladly take that.
I think in Big Lenny entering the chat, I think he somehow managed to try. I'm pretty sure this is a slap to the face of both of us at the same time.
The irony is he drafted Cortland Sutton in our mock last night.
And that's why he's so bitter, because he knows he can't quit him. And so he's trying to deflect it to you. Like, he's trying to blame you.
Can't quit him.
Yeah, he was out there completely ignored.
I actually like this move too. I mean, I think I'd still prefer more than a late second, just because I feel like Elijah Moore. People are very low on Elijah Moore right now, and people are very high on Ridley. But like early to mid second, and Elijah Moore, I would gamble on that, especially if I was a team that wasn't going to contend right away, because it wasn't going to contend this year. Maybe, I've been stashing Ridley, through a suspension, and now I'm like looking to get rid of him because I'm looking ahead. I would take that, but I'd probably want more than a late second.
And that's the thing, timing again. Like Elijah Moore, right now, a lot of people are just out on Elijah Moore. He's worthless. Watch they get Aaron Rodgers. And all of a sudden, Elijah Moore, this is it. It's a breakout. You won't be able to get him for anything other than a high first. So if you want Elijah Moore, now's the time to get him. But yeah, I think I'd run a little bit more than
that. But I like the idea there. I definitely like the idea there.
All right, do some quick reviews here. I think almost everybody in this draft could probably grade our teams just as well as we can at this point, but
right.
By the way, you forgot the dolphin emoji and the heart, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let it pass. You know what? And I had Mechie queued up. I was actually going to take Mechie, and he got taken before me. I took Hodgins. Wandale's still recovering from ACL, a guy who relies on his quick cuts. He's not really draftable.
I'm not drafting Wandale this year.
Okay, let's do Bus first. Bus went Garrett Wilson. Very nice. No homerism there. So Devontae Wilson.
I already have an issue with his team.
Okay.
He drafted Devontae Adams over Garrett Wilson.
This is true. He did.
Yet earlier, Where was it?
Did he take a shot?
Earlier, he dropped this comment.
Disrespectful, putting them on the same level when Garrett is better. He's so much better that you drafted Devontae before.
Boss.
You know what it is? He wanted to make sure he got the receiver that Derek Carr was throwing to last year and this next year.
That's true.
He wants that, like, it's like the Kevin Bacon thing. All right. So he got Devontae, Garrett Wilson. He went Najee and Dameon Pierce for 1-2. Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson. Maybe a stack, maybe not. Jameson, that was a good pick. I was going to take Jameson. Javonte. Gabe Davis, Chase Edmonds. That's interesting. Alec Pierce, I like that. Sean Tucker, I don't. And Shaheed. All right. Overall.
Chase Edmonds. It's got to be the first time we've seen Chase Edmonds in one of these. I don't know. Very high on Dameon Pierce. I don't mind. Like I like the first 4 picks. I like Lamar there. I'm fine with Jameson there. I'm not doing it with Javonte. Gabe, I mean, I guess if you want to gamble on him somehow in year 4 now, or year 4, somehow becoming a good wide receiver, maybe. I don't understand Edmonds at all. I guess maybe because he's got Javonte and Edmonds is technically on a Bronco. I don't know. I do like Pierce though. I like Shaheed. Tucker, I'm fine with it. You never know. It's a rookie running back. Not one of my favorites, but you never know. I think overall it's solid. Overall it's good. Just a couple questionable picks probably.
Yeah, a couple of individual picks I don't love, but it's hard to say I love every pick on every team, including my own. I will say this about Chase Edmonds. I kind of had this thought the other day because we know with Peyton, his pass way with the Saints offense, and they didn't they bring in Joe Lombardi? Is that official? He's like a advisor. He's not the OC, but he's something. I can see whatever running back is filling in time there while Javonte sits and heals, catching like 5 to 6 passes a game. So what if it's Chase Edmonds? What if Chase Edmonds does in Denver this year what we thought he was going to do in Miami last year? If they're not going to go out and get some big name running back, right? Like we have Javonte Williams, we have Chase Edmonds, we're good. Okay, let's go on to team 8? Question mark. Although your name is Tanner Weiss 7, but you went with team 8, so a little confusing there. That's okay. You got Eckler, Henry.
This is going to be an interesting one to grade.
Robust RB and early quarterback. So I wouldn't call it 0 wide receiver, but late wide receiver, or whatever you want to call it. Lockett, 2 rookies, Juju, another rookie, Sky Moore. Interesting. How interesting.
I mean, this is what you got to do if you're going to go three running backs and a QB in the first 4 rounds, especially in our drafts. I mean, you're just hoping 2 of them hit, right? You're just hoping, like, because Lockett, I mean, okay, Lockett, he should be, like, he's probably going to be in your lineup every single week. So you're just hoping 2 of those guys hit. I mean, I like that he took a bunch of shots. Obviously, when you start with 3 running backs and 4 running a QB in the first 4 picks, your wide receivers are going to be weak. It's just the nature of the draft. So I think given how he started, he probably did the best he could.
Actually, I don't know that it's the strategy so much. I mean, look, first of all, you're doing this. That means you're saying that you're going to flex a running back. You're flexing Ramondre, right? You're not sitting on your bench while you start another rookie receiver. So that's not the worst thing in the world because he does catch passes. I think for me, it's just like I like Addison. I could see Addison being a solid wide receiver 3, or on your team, it would be more like a wide receiver 2. I think if you would have taken Pickens or Bateman in round 6, I think I would have liked this better because Addison I don't think is too risky for a rookie, and I think you could start Pickens every week and be fine with it, so you could potentially have 3 number 2 type receivers, more like low end wide receiver 2, but whatever. That one pick JSN it's a little riskier for me. 2 tight ends, didn't need 2 tight ends there. Probably could have used another running back, but 7-ish. I like the swinging for upside though. I like the swinging for upside.
I mean, I drafted him 3 years in a row, so
big fish.
I drafted him the year. I mean, the first year he tore his ACL, so it's like okay. And I actually have a video filmed about this, and I'm not sure. I keep debating if I'm going to actually put it on the channel because I do worry that no one will want to watch it. Like it won't resonate. But
one way to find out.
He did start that season because I remember Cortland Sutton had a good rookie year. I was all over him going into year 2, drafting him everywhere. And people were like, "Oh, I can't draft him. His quarterback is terrible." Whoever it was, Drew. I don't even think it was Drew Lock. It was somebody else, and then it became Drew Lock. Maybe it was Drew Lock actually, because I think it was Drew Lock. But anyways, he had 3 catches for 60-something yards in the first quarter and 6 targets, and I was like, "Yes, I hit on the league winner." And then, like 1 minute into the second quarter, torn ACL season over. And then I drafted him again, and
let's just chalk it up to bad luck, right? The injury luck, and then Russell Wilson luck, or whatever you want to call that. I don't know.
And now, do we buy back in with Sean Payton? Are we buying back into the Broncos with Sean? Like, couldn't they have hired like, I don't know, some coach that gives you no hope, like Lovie Smith or something? Like, I don't know, like some coach where you're like, okay, I can just avoid the Broncos this year, no problem. I can just be off.
Bring Jeff Fisher out of retirement.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher. Like, okay, I don't have to worry about the Broncos, but they have to hire Sean Payton, and you're like, oh, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna save Russ?
I need to see it first. I don't mind taking a swing at Judy if the value is right. Sutton, I'm probably not. Couple last takes here. I think that's fine. I'm okay with that. Get a tank.
This year's Wandale.
And then oh, that's pretty good. Campfire Chris. Lessons learned.
Yeah.
And then
it's not even filmed in like a lessons learned. It's just filmed in more of like a just telling the story of how I continually drafted Cortland Sutton with horrific results.
If it's that kind of lesson learned, it should be more like, have you seen, I don't know if you've seen this, all right? So like one of those found footage, like horror movies, where you're there and then like the draft board is slowly zooms in on the draft board and then you see the name and it's Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton.
Like that movie, did you see the movie Yule Log?
No.
Oh, I'll tell you about it.
Then the way the movie has to end is with me finally like killing off Cortland Sutton, or like never draft, like I'm like that's it, right? I killed him off, the movie's over, and then what do you see right at the very end? Sean Payton. And it's like, oh, like setting up the sequel.
It's a close-up of you, like with a pen, like scratching them off your draft list, and then right before you get to the last letter, the N, Sean Payton, like wearing the Broncos hat. You're like,
yeah, Sean Payton, like and then it just freeze frame credits.
All right, look, we have a believer here. Rise says he'll be solid. I think solid.
Probably will be, because I probably won't draft him anywhere, and he'll go for like some crazy season. And it's like, of course, the year I'm not drafted home.
Okay, so Tanner thought this was best ball.
Right,
we haven't done a best ball style draft yet, so I guess we should. That's next on the menu.
I mean, I would love that best ball team. You went robust RB, you got early QB, and then you just loaded up on wide receivers. Hope you have some boom weeks. I would like that for a best ball team.
I mean, yeah, if that was going in the strategy, then yeah, I do like this grade a lot more. Even now, I still hate Michael Thomas' pick, but overall, it makes more sense. Hit on those rookies, but yeah, we'll have to do a best ball one pretty soon. All right, but we are going to draft again soon. But if you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit notification bell. That way you'll know as soon as we go live, whenever we go live, which will be multiple times per week, every week throughout the entire off season. And also mentioned this at the top. You see it scrolling there at the bottom. Patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. And a lot of times our patrons get that link first. So that way you're available. You can jump in there. Plus a lot of other bonus content. We got some surprises coming down the pipe here not too long. So stay tuned for that. But thanks for joining us. We'll be mocking again soon. I'm actually going to be out of town for a few days, so I might not be able to catch the next mock draft. But I have no doubt Chris will draft faithfully in my stead and take DJ Moore yet again.
I'm sure I will. He's going to be my Cortland Sutton this year, I guess.
There you go. You're gonna spoil him for everybody. You're gonna kill him. No, just kidding. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.